play of the no. And how we choose to say no to ourselves, like knowingly saying no to ourselves. I'm choosing to say no to myself. And I choose for suffering today. Yeah, you can see that play in consciousness even more and more. It's innocence, but then it's like a surprise, like, why am I suffering? The choice to suffer. But I understand it, but it gets more and more mind-blowing. It's like, how is that happening? Because we can't, because there's no death. So we can play in consciousness and just make the rounds. But it will be suffering, certainly. There's no other way. And Jesus was reminding me as we start with the light of divine being and this deep contemplation and just dropping into light, to drop everything, really. Like Muji says, leave your shoes and your mind outside, the wrong mind, and just drop it for the session. To see that it's really not needed. We don't need to use, it can't be used. Wrong-mindedness it only is an idea that perpetuates suffering. He just says, do not underestimate the avoidance of looking. So even going into chapter 20, how it dances on the surface, it pings. There's like a little ping. You know how when there's a submarine under the water and it goes ping and it goes out ping, 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 and then that ping comes back, ping, 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 ping. That's the constant pinging, like the infinite's always here, but since we treat it like it's an object, we ping off of it. Not to look deeply. And some beings have said, well, I can't really feel it, like I'm this itch. And I can only say there, well, Jesus says, you have to allow it to be revealed. That's your only function, is the willingness to have it be revealed. So the energy that's suppressed, contents of consciousness, you can call it that, just is no longer suppressed and just rises up. I'm asking, he's just saying this is the unification of consciousness, and it's that interpretive function that fights with it, interprets it. It was really beautiful, that scene in Lucy. There's so many good things in that movie that we just watched together. And we'll put a description up and post it. Well, we can't post a description. We could put it in audio. I caught most of it on audio. You want to hear it, but it's got the movie in the background. But there's a really great scene in there where she's on the plane. And we make the decision in mind, go for God in fullness. There'll be just, I don't want to make too much out of them because Jesus is the one who interprets. But she's sitting on the plane and it seems like she's I'm dissolving like the witch. Someone said that, like the witch in Wizard of Oz. And I know that feeling, like I'm melting. But just see the one who says, I'm melting. See, the natural state is infinite. No borders. See that the light has no borders. So the interpretive function, as these desires below the level of awareness start clearing out, which is really symbolized in that blue stuff moving through our bloodstream, it's like a symbol of release of desires. and the symbols, when she starts to seem to like dissolve, well, the ego's going to interpret that, well, that's hell right there. You're going to, hell. So we really do need to have to go back to Jesus and ask him. And as you're watching these movies, you can ask him. He'll tell you, is that a release or is that holding on? Just like Melissa asked him, and she knew. So while we're watching the movies, if we're asking him everything and letting him interpret everything, it doesn't give room for the interpretation of death to play so much. It'll still arise, but we just get more and more of that habit of going, okay, Jesus, how are you interpreting this? It's a good reminder for me. Just keep asking him to give an interpretation of whatever's arising. Because he's really the only one who has the interpretation. You can ask him, Jesus, are you the only one who has the interpretation? He said, yes, because he's in charge. He knows, as the symbol in our mind of knowing. He knows us. He knows where the bones are buried, as we've talked about. So I was just asking him, okay, well, Jesus, there are beings that are talking about, well, I'm not able to get in touch with that. So I'm asking him, I'm going, well, is that just not wanting to? And he's saying, yeah. Like when you're going down to look at the desires, so don't underestimate how much, because it's like until you really see what he reveals, like how badly that I is wanted, that I experience. That's the experience here. Like, and it's like, no, ripping kidding. I did want that or whatever. How much we don't want the atonement, the play in consciousness, not wanting to be a thought of God, not wanting to be the light. And having him just like reveal it. And then again, when things seem to happen, like whatever it looked like it was happening to Lucy in the bathroom, where she was eating more of that blue stuff, symbolizing that, she's going all the way. That was a symbol. I am still going all the way with this. That we don't have to interpret these things anything other than they are. It's a falling away. See, the ego goes, oh, I'm losing something. Sacrifice, wah, wah, wah. Something bad's happening. Wah. I remember that in the early stages of the course, when I would lie in bed and it just felt like I was being shredded. I'm asking Jesus now what that was. And he's saying release. See, but we don't even know. Because I was like praying to, oh God, help me. This is terrible. And now he's telling me now, see, that was release. Like as he says, we don't know our advances from our retreats. Got to ask him. Are we going to be like that rat in a maze with no way out? That desire, we're going to live out the desire to be a rat in a maze with no way out. Every thought, the energy of everything, what we believe about ourselves comes out of our mouth. I can tell so clearly. That's why we need to speak only that voice. That voice, and speaking that voice is going to wash out the no too as well. Boy, we'll just cower in the corner rather than speak it. And it's so beautiful. The ego makes it, oh, I'm going to be beat up. And I know, because that was here. It was the last thing on the list was to talk Jesus. And now that's why he's probably having me do it twice a day for, I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's probably been about 300 days now. Because obviously that's what's needed and most helpful. I see the power in it, how much you're learning from him. Like every time I listen to him and I speak, it's practicing love, practicing acceptance of divinity, actually, is what that is, because it's not for anybody out there. It's for me. It's love expressing as it is, and wholeness, acceptance of that voice. Yeah, he's just reminding me, because I'm asking, okay, as beings are going, just ask him on chapter 20. He'll answer. Jesus, am I open all the way on this, for this to fully clear this desire and go as many times as it takes to clear it together? Oh. I said, Jesus, can I emphasize enough? He said, no, just emphasize that. Emphasize and emphasize. And if it comes up the next day, then you go another couple of rounds. It could. He says, yes, that's the experience here. Just keep looking till it completely, all the energy is released of that desire. Now, till he shows you the death wish, he says to you, because it, it plays still, even though we're really looking at it, still plays like somebody's doing that to me, until he takes it down to the full I want, the I want. I don't want to go to God play. And it'll still play even with that, even when he's showing us the deepest of the deep. You'll just see those little back current eddies come up every now and then. That's why being attentive for God and his kingdom is, it takes focus. I'm asking him. He said, yes. He's using the power that consciousness has to focus, and rather than the shark, looking for the shark attack, be looking for attack in the mind, to turn it inwards, to use it to focus on what's true. See, because the light doesn't need to focus to know what's true, because the light just is. The consciousness with the big N-O experience to God. He wants to pretend and go play out there in the world. He says you need mind training. The habit of the mind, and you'll see it sitting there, chapter 20, and having a little dream about a movie we'll watch 4 months ago or something. That's just a play. We can just see it and gently come back. And as much as possible, just stay out of the story. I'm asking them, stay out of the story. What do I desire? What is the desire underneath this story? Go as quickly as possible. He's saying, do not pass go. Go below the story to desire as quickly as possible. This saves time. Plus, you're going to me. See, we're going to him. As soon as we drop below the story is part of the desire to stay in a story. So that asking in the specific direction on a miracle, where we ask, okay, what miracle needs to be performed? It's the fastest way for him to show where the denial is. So we were talking yesterday about unlimited access to the subconscious mind. I'm asking him, Jesus, am I willing to give you unlimited access? If you aren't, then admit it, and then you can see that because the mind becomes so focused on only that, only giving Jesus access. Like I said, when my eyes pop open, and ask them, is it okay to look, or what's most helpful? It's like the beautiful, Kelly made a little picture. Just these really beautiful little, we'll be posting on Facebook, where she took a quote from one of the light circle sessions. How does the advanced teacher of God spend his day? Ask me, ask me, ask me, follow, follow, follow. Those things. So full access. So let's ask him what that means. Full access. That's what he says. Leave nothing hidden in there. No little scraps, little crumbs. We like doing that. You know, because that's how the ego plays. See, it's going to have a little scrap called a family holiday, or all kinds of scraps. It has all kinds of death wishes that we don't want him to look at. And he's got to show us what those are. Jesus, do I need you to show me where the little death wishes are floating around? Oh, yes. But we start where we can start, and he'll direct gently. But you'll see yourself go turtle, clam up like a shell. You want to pull all your little, all the little, not you, consciousness plays like that. It pulls all its little tentacles in, you know, like a little clam, and then it pulls that little, shuts up. We're funny. We're light, pretending that we can be a turtle and close our clam, be like a little clam, where we close up in a clam. The speed at which you allow access is proportional to the speed at which you transcend the idea you have created of time and space. Jesus, do I have a desire to transcend time and space? And if he tells you no, then just, okay, I'd like a miracle on it. That's honesty of God. I don't want it. And there'll be days you'll say, I mean, I certainly have. I'm like, I have no interest in time and space. I'm sorry I ever got into this. What are you doing to me, Jesus? But then you know there's no place else to go. This is what's meant by Christ's control. This is why my voice, the voice for God, is essential in the atonement. Yeah, he was showing me this today in the book. It's not here, but as you go through the beliefs very early, like second page, you believe you would be torn asunder if all the beliefs and desires were revealed, that, you know, you're going to be strike dead. You'll see that in several different iterations in chapter 20. And the minute you hear yourself going, oh, I've already done this one, know for sure you need to look. You'll hear, I've looked at this already. As soon as that comes up, you'll already know. It's always, Jesus, do I need to look at this? And just really pause and listen. Because the ego is going to try to do a drive-by. I've already done that, believe. Got to keep looking, because of that belief way down there, that if every belief is revealed, so the ego is going to try to protect every single place that it can. Jesus, do I sincerely want to know myself beyond this world? He says, yes, you wouldn't be here unless you did. But he says you'll dabble in it. You'll dabble in the devil and the looking and the And the answer to your true desire to know yourself has come in the form of my voice. We were looking at that yesterday. It's good to look again. Jesus, is the answer coming in your as your voice? Just hear that yes of love. So much love. This is why you have called me to you, even as you try to deny it. He keeps telling me, do not underestimate that desire to go turtle. Really. Not talk to a brother. Oh, I'm not doing chapter 20 because don't underestimate that. I'm not, look, no, I don't want to join with the brother. This is such a fast way out. I'm not going to, no, I don't have time for that until after the holidays. See how many ways that the ego will find to delay looking at chapter 20. We can laugh about them though. Oh, my partner, I don't know. Always just stay with Jesus on everything. And if you're not sure, we'll join here with you to support you. Oh, this is so beautiful. We were talking about the conscious mind. He's bringing us back here. So let's look at this. Your true desire to know yourself has come from the form of my voice. This is why you have called me to you, even as you try to deny it. It also demonstrates that you have full access to superconsciousness. You saw in that movie with Lucy, and she's like just in so much awareness, and whatever was needed was being given to her. That superconsciousness. That's the part of consciousness we're denying our access to. The totality of everything, the expression of divinity, by playing and dabbling in the subconscious mind. So all the help is in the totality of consciousness coming in beyond even. I'm asking if superconsciousness is a good start. My voice, he's saying, my voice coming through superconsciousness. Consciousness is the responder either to the subconscious mind, the wrong mind, or from superconsciousness, my voice, either the right mind. It is apparent expression. The expression displays the layering in consciousness as the perception of separation from God. It's the pretending that consciousness itself can ever be in pieces and parts, even when it's holographic. It's always interconnected and it's always whole and complete. You can ask Jesus. You just see the miracles, in the reflections in expression, in consciousness, like Muji. It was just because you just know things you can't know, like him walking along at Sahaja. I've told these stories that come out of Sahaja are just off the rails. Like I'm walking around Sahaja and I'm like a gardener and it's like a desert. And like all these plants that couldn't possibly grow there because it can be very cold in the winter and very hot in the summer, and they're just all growing. He just goes and goes, okay, put that in, and they'll go, but I don't think it'll grow. And I go, it'll grow. It's like this Garden of Eden. It's just, fruit, just things that are really hard to grow. Like they can be temperamental. Sometimes they grow great some places. And there's this, like it's dry as a bone. I don't know how it happens. I really don't. Passion fruit, like this passion fruit, growing up the side. We're like working out there and it's growing up. It's just loaded with passion fruit. And it's like, how's that happening? I just don't know. I didn't think passion fruit could stand freezing temperatures. There it is growing up the side. Anyway, and then the other great Muji story is I probably told this one, but it's just so there's so much. So Hajj is so amazing in the first place. Like everything's just like so. Every stone is like lovingly put in place. You know, there's so much love pouring out of that place. It's just off the rails. But so they moved in, and there was, you know, there's not a lot of water because it's a desert most of the year. But anyway, so they're walking along on the property, and he goes, "Okay, dig there." And they're all going, "There's no way you're going to find water there." And he goes, "Dig there." And they started digging, and they got down pretty far. And then they said, "We can't find it." He says, "You haven't dug deeply enough." And sure enough, they dug down more, and there it was. They found water. Jesus is telling him, he's going, "You know, that's really natural to you." And he does. He'll tell you things. You just that's you're accessing wholeness, which can be used in function. It's not. It can be used as like a party favor too. You know, like intuition can be used. He talks about it. Can be used for the wrong thing. You know, it's to keep specialness, but the spirit can also use that to open up to awakening. But everything has to be used in purpose for spirit, otherwise it's specialness and it will be suffered. But as he's promising, you will start to see things and just know things. You just won't know where they came from, but you'll know they came from him. It's amazing. The expression displays the layering in consciousness. Okay, it's perception of separation. And so we're literally working, can I put it like he says? Yes, working to keep layers in consciousness. Even though consciousness is whole, how much work it's really taking to suppress that love out of awareness, wholeness out of awareness, and how much we protect pushing love out of awareness. It takes a lot of energy. That's why he keeps telling us the miracles are energizing. Miracles are energizing. You feel that. You just have so much energy. Like you don't even think about not having energy, actually, most of the time. Come to think of it. But if you feel tired, then you know it's miracle constipation. You can ask for a miracle. And Muji would talk about that too, you know, the amount of energy that moves through the body. And the energy's given for what's needed. In unified mind, unified consciousness, there's no longer separation or perceived layer in consciousness between superconsciousness, consciousness, and the subconscious mind. So it's just one. See, that's unification. So there's not this effort to suppress and pretend like consciousness is fragmented anymore. See, the release of the denials is unification of consciousness for the recognition of wholeness. There is full access to all that's given by the Father, and in this is peace of mind. Because there is unceasing full communion with the Father. So we rest in wholeness as wholeness. That's the happy dream. It's love, just celebrating love. Because it is. It doesn't have to have a holiday or a vacation for happiness. It just is happiness. We are happiness. Love is what we are. Without desire for a subconscious mind and its associated experiences, fear, pain, and suffering is impossible. Let's ask them. I love that. You know how I like asking questions. Together so we can all hear it because it's so joyful. Jesus, without a subconscious mind, is it possible to have fear or pain and suffering? I don't hear that. I don't hear that it's possible. Fear, pain, and suffering is impossible, and fragmentation experience is impossible. Only true perception, perceptive wholeness. Remember, he's talking about right perception. Perceptive wholeness, that all is complete, pervades experience. So the ego is a perception that there's a subject object. I'm touching this chair. There's an I touching a chair. As the desires fall away, and you can look at David's little chart, desire for experience, beliefs, emotions, perception. The emotions are underneath perceptions, and they generate that percept of fragmentation through desire for experience. So again, we're going right to desire, looking at Jesus. He's showing where we are clearing them out. Well, that whole tree, that's going to collapse the entire bubble of perceptive other. And then it's just true perception, which is perceptive wholeness. Not perceiving other anymore. Perceptive sameness, that things are, love is sameness. The only true perceptive wholeness remains. This is full acceptance of the I am presence, the God principle in fullness in a body, yet pointing beyond it to all that appears, the manifest and unmanifest, in simultaneity of time. Don't give that to the wrong mind. Just talk to Jesus about it. Ask the light, is time simultaneous? And let the light tell you. And in the light, you'll know it. Time simultaneous. It's just perceptive oneness, the one. Now it's going to play. It's not like the beings stop moving over there or something. But that play of otherness and something wrong with the world, those things start falling away. And if they don't fall, whatever's left, like I just go to Jesus, you know. Christ consciousness and joy beyond this world. The infinite joy. And you can hear the beings starting to talk about it. Is the desires are falling away. It's that noticing that happiness is infinite. Because infinite is identity. Happiness is identity. So really stepping into the direct looking and the power of Supreme Being for that direct looking. And here it is. Joy and peace is identity. This is beyond time and space, beyond choice. This is true identity expressing fully. It's hard to conceive it. Ultimately, there's a collapse of all desire for consciousness to choiceless awareness. It's like totally out of the game. Some call this recognition of the absolute reality is only reality. So it's not the engagement in, that's where Jesus on the cross, he was, he's going to talk about it down here. I now remember. Yes. So I'll go into that. full unity with the absolute. This is full awareness of dreaming in the happy dream. It is often said that on the cross I cried, Eli, 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 lama sabachthani. The words in Aramaic are Il, Il, lama sabachthani. That's in the Aramaic Bible, the Aramaic direct English translation. The translation is Il, Il, an expression of absolute. Absolute. See, it's beyond the I am, because they put it like I am. It's beyond I am. For this purpose I am given, bestowed. I'm bestowed for the purpose. This, and he told me this. This is a declaration of unity with the absolute reality. I was given for this purpose. So it wasn't, why has God forsaken me? It was, I'm given for this purpose. That's a little bit of a different for me. Because I knew he couldn't have said that. We all know he can't say that. How could he say his Father forsaken them? You know, it's in unified consciousness that Father can never, what can be forsaken? We know it now. He was outside of desired experience in the expression in consciousness. He's unified with the absolute reality, the last lesson on the cross. As he said, I had one more lesson on the cross. You feel you have not the strength for your own release, thus you must rely on mine. That's true. We can ask him, Jesus, do I believe I have the strength for my own release? You can just be, honest with God. I mean, the ego might say, oh, I do, but we know what voice that is. But this, your next sentence, yet let me assure you that you do have all the power for your release, as the will of the Father and yours is one. This is very encouraging. You have merely to accept that power. See, it's that desire for powerlessness is a really good one to look at with him. How that itch, that wanting, that relishing powerlessness plays under that's the subconscious mind. You can ask him, Jesus, is there a powerless play going on below my level of awareness? You cannot be held by anything in form unless you desire to experience. And this is such a great example in Lucy. There's so much clarity that she would not be held by anything in form. It doesn't mean we go shooting up our mighty companions. It's just a symbol. It's a symbol that you cannot be held by anything in form. It's the relishing being held, being weak, that relishing, holding it as close as we can, and saying no whenever divine expression comes up. It's like, I'm going to turtle. I'm going to hold tight. I'm going to hold my position. We don't step outside into the ring of what would be called ring of fire, but it's like Muji said, it's a fire that will burn. It's the light of the Holy Spirit burning up the untrue. I will burn all the chaff and leave only the good wheat. So he's burning up the chaff. We have to give him the whole pile of wheat. Do you see we got to give it to him. Here's all my wheat, Jesus. Now, can you help me find the chaff out of this? Because I hid it from myself so good now. Rest assured, freedom is always yours if you cease to deny it. And he's given such a powerful, and just for me, I'm grateful. He's just shown that everything he's promised is true. If we look directly at desires and release them to forgiveness, there's so much joy and happiness under all that kerfuffling. And he gives us each other to go all the way. So don't believe any of that kerfuffling, not to look, or the story, or I know I played there in the story. So I'm sure that still arises sometime. But now we know who to go to. We have Jesus and we have our brother. Go for God. It feels good just to sit in a moment contemplating with Jesus all the love that he's shown us through this. Amen. Love to you all from San Juan Coast Love.